The incredible story of Lucas Vargas Terra, a young man whose life journey is nothing short of inspiring. Buckle up as we explore how Lucas's faith, family values, and leadership shaped his path and continue to resonate with so many people today. Lucas Vargas Terra was born on October 19, 1986 in Bahia, Brazil. He was the third child of José Carlos Terra and Marian, joining his older brothers, Carlos Jr. and Carlos Felipe. From the start, it was clear that Lucas was destined for a remarkable journey. José Carlos, a business administrator from Rio Grande do Sul, was constantly on the move due to work. His travels took him far from home, which made him miss his family dearly. In 1989, Miranda decided to relocate permanently to the capital of Bahia with José Carlos and their children. Later, they moved to Rio de Janeiro, where they continued to uphold their strong values and faith. José Carlos and Marianne were deeply religious and raised their children with the same devotion. Lucas, even as a young child, was known for his remarkable kindness and generosity. He learned early on the importance of sharing and caring for others. His faith wasn't just a part of his life, it was the core of it. Lucas's behavior was marked by transparency and honesty, principles he held dear from a very young age. Despite being small in stature, Lucas had a remarkable ability to turn sadness into joy and offer a smile to those around him. His confidence was such that he felt entitled to express his opinions on any subject, always with a strong sense of his faith guiding him. Lucas read the Bible daily and believed deeply in the teachings of God. He was a young boy with big dreams. He wanted to become a doctor to heal others and also aspired to grow within the church, envisioning a future where he could one day become a bishop. In June 2000, when Lucas was just 13 years old, his faith was put to the test. While attending school in the Copacabana neighborhood, he was accused of misconduct by two other children. The school called his mother, Marian, to address the situation. During the meeting with the school director and the accusing boys, Marian defended Lucas, who remained silent and calm throughout. When pressed to defend himself, Lucas made a profound statement: "The righteous do not justify themselves." His words, though surprising, earned him exoneration from the accusations. Lucas's composure and unwavering faith left a lasting impression. The beginning of 2001 brought significant changes for Lucas and his family. They planned to move to Italy for work, with Marian heading there first for a job in a steakhouse run by her sister in Palmi, 465 kilometers from Rome. However, José Carlos and the children, deeply attached to Brazil, wanted to spend more time saying goodbye to their friends and visiting Salvador, where they had strong family ties. They decided that Carlos and the younger children, including Lucas, would travel to Italy after the European winter. But on January 5th of that year, José Carlos and the two younger boys, including Lucas, set off on a 1,700-kilometer journey from Rio de Janeiro to Salvador. Though Lucas wasn't thrilled about leaving his friends in Rio, he accepted the decision out of obedience. Upon arriving in Salvador, they stayed with José Carlos's brother Hera and his wife Dilsa, who had 5 wonderful children. Lucas quickly adapted to his new surroundings and began attending the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God in the Santa Cruz neighborhood. His commitment to his faith remained unwavering, and he eagerly took on volunteer tasks at the church, from the simplest to the most challenging. Lucas's charisma and natural leadership skills shone brightly, and he became a central figure in the church's activities, organizing teams and inspiring others. Lucas Terra was a bright, charismatic teenager who seemed destined for a life filled with faith, service, and leadership. Born on October 19, 1986 in Bahia, Brazil, Lucas was the third child of José Carlos and Marian Terra. His older brothers Carlos Jr. and Carlos Felipe welcomed him with open arms, creating a close-knit family deeply rooted in religious faith. Raised in a household that emphasized the importance of faith, Lucas quickly developed a reputation for his caring nature and strong convictions. He was the type of kid who would rather share his snacks than keep them to himself, always looking out for others. As Lucas grew older, his faith only deepened. He was a devout follower of his religion, reading the Bible daily and living by its teachings. His friends and family often described him as wise beyond his years, with a strong sense of justice and a passion for helping others. Lucas wasn't just a passive believer. He was active in his church, taking on various responsibilities and always eager to do more. In 2001, life took a turn when Lucas's family planned to move to Italy for work. His mother, Marianne, left first, securing a job in a steakhouse run by her sister in Parma. Meanwhile, Jose Carlos and the children stayed behind in Brazil to spend more time with friends and family. Eventually, Jose Carlos and the two younger boys, including Lucas, decided to visit Salvador before heading to Italy. This trip would mark the beginning of a series of events that would change everything. Once in Salvador, Lucas became deeply involved with the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God in the Santa Cruz neighborhood. His dedication and charisma quickly earned him a leadership role within the church's youth groups, known as tribes. Lucas was responsible for attracting new members and ensuring his tribe's growth, a task he took on with enthusiasm. His tribe flourished under his guidance, and he was soon rewarded with various small prizes for his efforts, such as boxes of chocolates that he promptly shared with his tribe members. Due to his remarkable qualities, Lucas was eventually promoted to the position of a church worker, a role that required the approval of all church members. This new position brought him closer to Pastor Silvio Galiza, a 21-year-old who had recently been transferred to the church under mysterious circumstances. Silvio, nicknamed the Secretary, became increasingly possessive of Lucas, monopolizing his time and controlling his interactions with others under the guise of mentorship. As time went on, Silvio's behavior became more concerning. He forbade Lucas from interacting with certain people, especially a girl Lucas had developed feelings for, revealing his deep jealousy and possessiveness. Despite these red flags, Lucas continued to fulfill his duties at the church, trusting the authority figures around him. One night in late February 2001, Lucas and another young man were asked to stay late at the church to help Pastor Silvio with administrative tasks. Concerned for their safety, Silvio suggested they spend the night at the church. Lucas's parents, trusting the church as a safe haven, agreed. However, while the other boys slept on a pew, Silvio invited Lucas to sleep in his room. Although the details of what happened that night remain unclear, the situation was disturbing enough to cause a stir within the congregation. To avoid scandal, the church authorities decided to transfer Silvio to another location, sweeping the incident under the rug. But Silvio's obsession with Lucas didn't end there. Despite being transferred, he continued to attend services at the church, claiming that no one could stop him from practicing his faith. On the morning of March 21, 2001, Lucas followed his usual routine, attending a youth meeting at the church in the evening. After the meeting, as he was talking with friends and his girlfriend, Silvio called him over. Ever obedient, Lucas left with Silvio for what he believed would be a prayer session. On that fateful day, Lucas didn't come home. Jose Carlos, filled with dread, returned to the Temple of Santa Cruz, where Lucas had last been seen. He waited anxiously, hoping Lucas would reappear. As the hours dragged on, Jose Carlos's worry turned to panic. At 6:00 p.m., friends and family, including his other son, Felipe, joined in the search. But it was as if Lucas had vanished into thin air. Desperate, Jose Carlos went to the police, but he was met with indifference. They told him to wait 48 hours to file a missing person report. This was before immediate searches were the norm. Frustrated, he took matters into his own hands. He scoured the city's hospitals, hoping against hope to find a trace of Lucas. His search lasted well into the night, but Lucas was nowhere to be found. In the early hours of the next morning, Jose Carlos, now desperate, returned to the church where Lucas attended. There, he confronted Pastor Silvio, who had been one of the last people to see Lucas. Silvio's story changed. He claimed to have left Lucas in a different neighborhood. Jose Carlos, sensing something was wrong, felt a surge of anger, but kept his composure. Instead of violence, he turned to action. He made posters with Lucas's picture and plastered them across the city, hoping someone had seen his son. Then a strange call came. A temple worker claimed that a burned body had been found near the church where Silvio worked. Jose Carlos was puzzled. How did this person have his number? And why call him? Despite his reservations, he went to the location, accompanied by a friend. The body was so badly burned that it was unrecognizable. Jose Carlos clung to the hope that it wasn't Lucas. Yet his nightmare continued. Over the next days, Jose Carlos visited hospitals, knocked on doors, and spoke to anyone who might have information. He even confronted Silvio again, but the pastor offered no answers, only evasion. The Universal Church representatives, instead of helping, gave false leads and treated Jose Carlos with cold indifference. The torment dragged on until Felipe, Lucas's brother, made a horrifying discovery. The body found earlier was indeed Lucas. Felipe identified him by a lock of hair and the remains of his clothing. Jose Carlos's world shattered. The agony of losing a child is indescribable, and for Jose Carlos, it was a pain compounded by the cruelty of Lucas's death. The autopsy revealed more than anyone could bear. Lucas had been gagged, tied, and set on fire while still alive. The fabric used to tie him matched that of curtains from the church, making Pastor Silvio the prime suspect. However, justice proved elusive. Despite the evidence, Silvio was not arrested immediately, and the case dragged on for years. As the investigation unfolded, the city of Salvador was gripped by the horror of the crime. News of Lucas's murder dominated headlines, and Jose Carlos became a symbol of a father's fight for justice. He camped outside government buildings, protested, and demanded answers. But the wheels of justice turned slowly. It wasn't until 3 years later, in 2004, that Pastor Silvio finally faced trial. The court heard the chilling details: how Silvio had repeatedly abused Lucas, how he had dragged the boy to an internal courtyard, and how he had committed the unthinkable crime. The court ruled it a qualified triple homicide, driven by passion and cruelty. But for Jose Carlos and his family, the trial was just one step in a long journey. They had to fight not only for justice, but also against a system that seemed indifferent to their suffering. Even after the conviction, questions remained. Why had Silvio been free for so long? Where did he get the money to hire Brazil's most expensive lawyers? Lucas's murder was shrouded in mystery. Silvio, the pastor accused of the crime, denied the charges, yet the jury found enough evidence to convict him. On June 9th of that year, the court sentenced him to 23 years and 5 months in prison, later reduced to 18 years on appeal, and then further down to 15. Even as Silvio served his sentence, questions remained, questions that Lucas's father, Jose Carlos, and his mother, Marian, could not ignore. In 2006, Silvio made a shocking revelation. He accused 3 other church members, Bishop Fernando Silva, Pastor Joel Miranda, and security manager Luis Clau, of being involved in Lucas's murder. According to Silvio, Lucas had witnessed these men in compromising situations and was killed to silence him. The church, instead of expelling these men, transferred them to other cities, shielding them from justice. Silvio's new testimony was a bombshell, accepted by the prosecution but dismissed by the defense as a retaliatory act. Silvio claimed he was under immense psychological pressure, facing death threats and blackmail to confess. In a 2007 ruling, the Superior Court of Justice ordered the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God to compensate Lucas's family with 1 million reais, around $24,000, for moral damages, citing the church's negligence in overseeing its members. The church's defense argued that Silvio was not officially working at the time of the murder, but the court held firm. As the legal battle continued, Lucas's family fought tirelessly for justice. Jose Carlos, Lucas's father, even pursued a law degree to better understand the complex legal processes, but he eventually dropped out, disillusioned by the loopholes in Brazil's justice system. In February 2008, a case was opened against Bishop Fernando, who was briefly imprisoned before being released on bail. Pastor Joel remained on the run. By December 2008, the church had to pay the full compensation amount, now doubled to approximately $47,000 due to interest. Despite Silvio's imprisonment, the struggle for justice was far from over. In 2015, after almost 12 years since Lucas's death, a court finally decided to bring Fernando and Joel to trial. Yet the defense managed to delay the proceedings further, and in 2018, a higher court annulled the decision to send them to trial, citing insufficient evidence. But Lucas's father, Jose Carlos, did not live to see the end of the legal battles. He passed away in 2019, exhausted from years of fighting for his son. His wife, Marian, vowed to continue the fight, seeking justice for Lucas and their family. They published 2 books detailing their harrowing journey, the second released on Amazon in 2019. Finally, in April 2023, the trial against Fernando and Joel began. The jury heard from 15 witnesses, including Lucas's friends, who testified about the threats and cover-ups within the church. Despite the defense's efforts to discredit the accusations, the jury found both pastors guilty of Lucas's murder. They were sentenced to 21 years in prison, though they remained free pending appeals. This case is one of the most gruesome and complex in Brazil's history. Even after 22 years of legal battles, the fight for justice continues, leaving a scar on Lucas's family and the community that supported them. Thanks for watching. Please like the video, press the subscribe button, And also drop your thoughts in the comment section.